Did you know that the Philippines is home to some of the most innovative artisans in the world? From abaca bags to handcrafted leather. Now, these products are loved for their eco friendliness and cultural roots. Today, we'll show you some of these treasures and how they're about to make a big splash in the US market. But before we begin, I've adopted a funny side of me, so hopefully you guys will all accommodate my new humor. My quick joke: why do artisans get bored? Or I should say, why do artisans never get bored? Because they always weave new stories. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ferdinand Soriano, your #1 Philippine-made product advocate in the U.S. market. I am also the co-founder of Emporium, and the most important part is, of my being today is being your co-host for this episode of Uncovering Profitable Philippine-Made Products in the U.S. market. Now, teamwork is everything in this live stream. Couldn't do this without my partner in crime, as they say. Now, joining me live from the Philippines is the co-founder, or I should say the founder of JLS MEBC. He is consulting, and he is the Emporium's collaborative partner specializing in export management. I want him to go ahead and join in the fun. I'd like to go ahead and please welcome my partner in crime all the way from the Philippines, Jeremy Solomon. Jeremy, kamusta?
Hello, brother. I'm good. Tawag dito. So, kumusta? We're here. Okay naman dito sa Philippines. Medyo maganda yung panahon ngayon. Narinig ko yung narinig ko yung joke mo. I was thinking baka pwede kong tirahin din. Ito naman ang joke
Okay.
ko.
What's your joke?
Why did the artisan weaver bring a ladder to work? Bakit nagdala sila ng ladder?
I don't know. What?
Because they wanted to take their craft to the next new heights, literally. Kailangan umakyat daw sila ng ladder.
Anyways, you're as corny as me, but at least somebody.
You remember? Ito na naman tayo. All right. Okay, sige. So let's formalize na.
Go ahead, man.
Again, I am thrilled to solidify the partnership between GLS MEBC, your expert business consulting agency, and Emporium's expert management specialist and collaborator. At GLS MEBC, our mission aligns with Emporium's goal of helping Filipino-made products excel globally. Our partnership aims to elevate Filipino products in international markets like the US while empowering local entrepreneurs. Throughout this show, we will introduce locally produced products and promote the feel good, look good, and be good lifestyle, beneficial for consumers and profitable for businesses showcasing Philippine items. Ngayong Sabado po, eto na, we are featuring Oro Handmade Innovations Incorporation, presented by no other than our Miss Lolita Luchi Cabanlet, the founder and CEO, who will be presenting Indigenous, a brand specializing in paper and paperboard byproducts. Now positioned to penetrate the hotel, casinos, and specialty shops in the US. So stay tuned as we explore their products and journey to uncovering profitable Philippine-made opportunities. So, balik sa'yo, Brother Ferdy.
Well, ang galing mo. And now I love the joke part. It's funny now. Talagang I love that part. But anyway, all right. So in this episode, or in every episode, we have 3 goals that we want to do for each of the episodes that we do. The first one is we want to empower Philippine exporters to take that first step to exporting to the US. And that's why Jeremy's here, right? The second goal that we have is we want to expose to the US market all of the amazing products from the Philippines that especially focuses on how to make them feel good, look good, and be good. And what we want to do is be able to say, okay, we want to teach them also how to find profitable products in the Philippines, source them, how to get the products and then ship them and sell them in the US. Basically, that's what we want to do. The third one is, it's sort of like, I guess what we want to do is highlight the guest compelling story. okay? Because that's important in every product that you want to buy. It's always fun to know their story. And also we always trying to challenge each other which one of the hosts, Jeremy and I, will end up crying or at least be emotionally attached or involved in the product because they have such a great story. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and before we introduce the guest presenter today, let's go ahead and take a quick little break so that we can go ahead and reset for our guest, okay? So, with that being said, let's go ahead and hear from our guest from last week saying hello to Coco Natura. Hello, Coco Natura, Renee, and Art. Okay, so here's a video from them. All right, we are back, right, Jeremy?
Yep.
So let me go ahead and do a quick introduction of our next guest. Our next guest, I want to make sure I read this right. She is a mother of four, married to lawyer Virgilio Cabanlet. She finished her MBA at Xavier University, Cagayan de Oro, 1997. She's a former Technical Cal Services Division Manager, Philippine Port Authority, Northern Mindanao, and also now the founder and CEO of Oro Handmade Innovation Incorporated. I want everyone to please welcome our guest presenter for today, and hopefully you see what we see, okay, as far as the profitability of her products, and not just because they're profitable, but they're amazing. I can't wait for her to go ahead and do her quick presentation. So here she is. Please welcome Lolita Lucci Cabanlet of Oro Handmade Innovation.
Hello, everyone. I am Lolita Cabanlet.
Lolita, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. The weather and the climate is good. And we are here in Cagayan de Oro City, here in Misamis Oriental. I'm very pleased to have been invited to this show, Emporium.
Oh, di ba? Oo, red na red ka ngayon, Madam Lucci. Lucky charm. Miss Lucci, tignan mo, na meron akong Cagayan de Oro River Raft. Yung background.
Yes, that's one of the attractions here in Cagayan de Oro City.
Must-see yan pag pupunta sa akin.
I'm gonna join him later, but right now I'm in my living room.
You're in your living room. Tama.
So Lolita, are you ready to go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right. Yes. Let me go ahead and bring you on, okay? So let me go ahead and bring on your slides. Hold on. And take us out.
Hello. Okay. This is Oro Handmade Innovations. We founded in 1993, and from a single proprietorship, we're now a corporation registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Slide, please. Next, please. Next, please. We make or manufacture the indigenous brand. Indigenous because we source all our materials and inspiration from the indigenous people. We aim to foster collaborative thinking to further drive workplace innovation. We intend to close the gap between sustainable and non-sustainable leverages, thereby making sustainability as the centerpiece in our search for measures to preserve and protect the environment. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Our mission is engaging more communities as business partners in the supply and value chains, thereby attaining financial independence not only for us, but also all the stakeholders. Our unique selling proposition, our products are biodegradable, compostable, renewable, 100% tree-free, and value chains thereby our supply attaining good and a unique selling proposition into reality. Our raw materials are like abaca fiber, pineapple leaves, cogon grass, bamboo sticks, buri sticks, corn husks, peanut shells, and other agricultural wastes. Next, please. This is our factory, and it's located in Baraopol, Misamis Oriental. We've been here since 2005. Since I started in my kitchen, moved into my garage, and into this place. So we started really slow and really small. Next, please. So our raw materials coming from the indigenous communities are all natural and organic. Next, please. Abaca fiber is our #1 raw material. The indigenous people are growing this for us, and we buy directly from them, from Bukidnon and Misamis Oriental. Next, please. We also use discarded pineapple leaves, like in the photo. These are from pineapple farms and plantations in Misamis Oriental and Bukidnon. Next, please. And then we also use cogon grass or the wild grass. We are used to this, that it's like just a waste, like a real grass, wild grass, but now it's very useful in our paper making. It gives us the stiffness of paper. Next, please. And for our bamboo frames that we use in our lamps, we get it also from the indigenous communities, and they deliver it to us as bamboo sticks. And we train them how to attain the thickness and the length that we need. Next, please. We also have buri sticks. These sticks are also used in our products, especially also for the lamps and for our paper plates or placemats. These are all usually thrown away after they get the pandan leaves. This is the rib of the pandan leaves. Our suppliers and artisans are the indigenous people of Bukidnon and Misamis Oriental, the rural farmers, local traders, women artisans, and craftsmen. We are an advocate of women empowerment. This is one family that is supplying us from Higaonon tribe of Claveria Misamis Oriental, where they grow abaca fiber, abaca, and turn it into fiber, and they have been our supplier since 2015. Next, please. This is another group of Higaonon Cooperative in Impasugong, Malaybalay, Bukidnon. They call themselves the Mahitriga. At the height of COVID, we went to their community to train them how to make the bamboo sticks that we require. Next, please. So these are the women artisans who are helping us. If you notice, they are holding, these are our abaca paper, which are used in our lamps. Since we're a paper company, handmade paper, and that we use this in all our products. Next, please. Okay, these are the men who are also work craftsmen. They make the frames of those lamps. By the way, those lamps are shipped to Paris, France. Okay, this is our most popular product, paper chandeliers. These are made of abaca fiber, wild kogon grass, and natural adhesives. When we say natural adhesives, we don't use industrial glue, rather we use cassava starch. Next, please. I've shown you the Buddha sticks earlier. This is how we elevate the discarded sticks into these types of hanging lamps. Next, please. Next is, these are the piñapel paper ruffles. If you noticed earlier, I showed you the pineapple leaves that we gather from the plantations, and then we turn it into pineapple paper, or called piñapel. And then our inspiration here are like seaweeds along the shore, and then we create individual ruffles for them and create these special designs. We also ship these lamps to Europe. Next, please. Okay, this is a very interesting combination. The lamp on white is made of abaca paper, and the brown lamp on the right is what we call coconut lace or coco lace. You know, there are a lot of bunot, the discarded bunot in cocoa farms, and we gathered them and created some kind of a textile which appeared to be lace, so we call it coco lace, and it has attracted a lot of buyers from Europe. Next, please. Okay, out of our abaca or pineapple paper, whatever type of paper, we can make placemats. These are biodegradable placemats. If you notice, we have the buri sticks in between paper sheets. Next, please. Okay, that's another photo showing the same buri placemats, which has attracted a lot of buyers from Germany and Italy. Next, please. Okay, we have an innovation. One of our innovations is to make paper clay bowls and bottles. These are of different sizes, and we have tried and tested that paper clay can be used for not only for these items, but it can also be used for home decor and containers. Next, please. Okay, Piñapel pillows. You know, Piñapel being a pineapple fiber-based paper, it can be very pliant, and we can make it into cushions and then accent it with ethnic or tribal designs. Next, please. Okay, we are also into a stationery. In fact, the first set of products we had are Abaca journals, Abaca paper journals. These are examples of our best-selling journals, which are the small size. Next, please. This is another way of, we're trying to highlight here how we put in the locks. We actually use bamboo strips to create this unique looking locks for the photo album. Next, please. Okay, we have letter sets, also very, very popular because these are the products that they put, like they call fillers. So when they have a like 20-footer van and there are spaces in between, they order these letter sets. Again, this is made of pineapple paper, and you notice that our locks are made of bamboo. Next, please. Okay, we are now into another decorative item. We call it paper clay vessels. These are actually containers for like magazines or any other non-food products. This is colored black, and we don't use any synthetic colors, but we use natural black colors, which we can attain from coconut wastes. Next, please. So this is pineapple leaves that were used into paper clay vessels. And if you notice, we have the baybayin. Baybayin is the ancient Filipino script, which we applied here. And for some reasons, our buyers in Europe really appreciated this kind of ancient script. And this is presented here as a flower pot, or, you know, to contain flowers or flower pots. So baybayin has attracted buyers too. Not only, but so far I haven't met a Filipino who liked the baybayin. Next, please. So we have paper panels. If you notice, those are the papers that we can make depending on your requirement, how long. So we can actually do single and double paper panels. And the lamps shown here are made of pineapple paper, and it has a different shade. So we can really make real white pineapple paper, and we can also make the ones with dark or light shade. Next, please. Okay, this is a close-up of Piñapel sheets. It used to be just a waste in the farm, but with the introduction of the Design Center of the Philippines, with whom they have collaborated with us, and that we made these piñapel sheets for them under their research and development. And it has attracted a lot of buyers, especially that it is a waste material and it falls within the circular movement. Next, please. Okay, we do join international trade fairs, and the photos here are during the Manila Fame in 2023 at the World Trade Center, Pasay City, Philippines. So in every trade fair, we showcase our new designs. We do change our designs twice a year. That's for every year. Next, please. Okay, this is the same, just a few photos of the people who visited us and who placed orders during the Manila Fame 2023. Next, please. Okay, we were featured at the Philippine Pavilion at Maison A Objet 2024. We were a Kata nominee in the lamp category. It was designed by our designer Nicole Cabanlet, and in Maison et Objet in Paris, France, it was one of the featured products. We call Zen lamps, interactive Zen lamps. Next, please. Okay, still in Maison et Objet 2024, to the left photo, that is where our coconut lace is. We did modular lamps, really long lamps, 2.5 meters long, and that we also featured our cushions. And on the middle photo, another set of lamps, which is made of bamboo and made of handmade paper, abaca paper. And to your right is another modular lamp, which is made of pineapple paper. And we have here at the bottom our floor lamps or table lamps, which are also made of pineapple paper. Next, please. This is my daughter, Nicole, our in-house designer who makes all the studies on product trends and creates all these products. Also, in collaboration, we also work with the Design Center of the Philippines and SciTem. This was in Frankfurt, Germany, last 2024. There is a show called Ambiente, and we were part of it. Next, please. Okay, these were taken during the Ambiente show in Frankfurt, Germany, 2024, where we were really exposed to a lot of buyers as far as South Africa. Next, please. Okay, we also received awards. In 2019, I went to New York to receive the D&AD Pencil Award for Creative Excellence, Future Impact, and Environmental Sustainability. This was awarded to the Design Center of the Philippines, and as their partner, as the paper maker, I was also invited to receive the award. Next, please. Okay, that is the award that we received, MD and AD, we didn't know that it was such a prestigious award body until we reached New York in November of 2019. Next, please. Well, in 2020, I received the Zero to Hero Award given by the Department of Trade and Industry. They know my history, that I started in my kitchen, moved to our garage, and then later to work site. Next, please. Okay, I participated in the Shell Livewire Innovators Award on environmental sustainability category. And it was like a global competition. And Oro Handmade Innovations Inc. received the highest number of public votes. Next, please. Okay, we are also very active in the Regional Development Council in Region 10, and I received the plaque of recognition as private sector representative and vice chair for Macro and Development Administration. Next, please. We did not work by ourselves. We collaborated with the government organizations and non-government organizations. We have, of course, the Department of Trade and Industry, who opened the international markets for us, and the Department of Science and Technology, who introduced the technology innovations to improve our processes. And we have TESDA for the training of more craftsmen, and DOLE and TESDA actually more on the training of craftsmen. And we are thankful to the Cagayan de Oro LGU and the PhilExport Region 10 for the promotion of our products. Next slide, please. We also have affiliations. Currently president of PhilExport Region 10A. I'm the chair of Housewares and Lifestyle sector of the DTI, vice president of the Misamis Oriental Multifiber Group. I'm a member of the Oro Chamber, member of MSME Council, member of She Trades PH Hub, and private sector representative of Region 10. So, since we are into engagement with communities and we are into women empowerment, our involvement in these organizations were very helpful. Next, please. Well, at present, the president is Virgilio J. Cabanlet, who is my husband. I'm the vice president and CEO. And then my chief operations officer is our son, Virgilio Jose B. Cabanlet, an AIM graduate. And then we have a corporate board secretary and creative director, my daughter, who is a graduate of interior design at the PSID and LaSalle. Marketing director, Eunice Maria Victoria Cabanlet, who finished in HALT International School in Shanghai, and our legal counsel, my daughter, Zara Chidora Cabanlet, who finished in Ateneo de Manila. So if you noticed, we have invested greatly on the education of our children because we foresee that they will be the next generation of Oro Handmade innovations. Next, please. So our ways forward would be to implement a memorandum of agreement entered into for employment generation and entrepreneurial development with TESDA, Tolong Trabaho, and Dole Alima programs. We build up qualifications and certifications for inclusion in Industry 4.0, conduct continuing R&D to support circular economy and zero waste movements, and review our business community continuity plan, and firm up the longevity plan of Oro handmade innovations ready for the second generation. Next, please. Okay, this being our last slide, there are more designs that you can find in our website. You can visit us at www.indigenous.ph, and you can write to us at info@indigenous.ph. To God be the glory, and God bless to all of you who listen to this live stream.
Yun. Sabi ko sa iyo Oo, di ba? Yung ating resource speaker, napakadami ng kaniyang accolades, Brother Ferdinand.
Well, no, I was just gonna say you were right. She got thirsty.
I can sense it
I really got thirsty.
I love your accomplishments so far. I'll just make a quick comment before Jeremy takes over the camera, Lolita. Great products. I've been receiving a lot of interesting comments on my post. A lot of likes, a lot of views. So there's definitely a lot of curiosity about the product. So now I can't wait for Jeremy to give us some feedback on how we're going to enter the US market. How do we prepare for it? And that's what Jeremy's going to do that. And then after Jeremy, I will go ahead and tell you where I think we should go with your product in the US market. All right, take it away, Jeremy. Are you ready, Lolita?
Yeah, but before that, siguro magpakita ka lang ng isang feedback doon sa comment. Kasi may mga nagko-comment doon sa kahit isa lang para tignan natin kung anong sabi nila. Ayun I've been waiting.
You have a big fan. One of them is Mary Flor, May Cruz. She's from Global Business Impact. She's been going ahead and making all these comments, if you see.
Grabe, di ba? Nice.
Wow, she's an interior designer.
Paper chandeliers.
Yeah.
Grabe.
Interior designers, sila po yung mga that we meet them in the trade shows. They are those who are attracted to our lamps, and they recommend to their many projects that they have.
Cool.
I see the light, Lolita. I see the light.
I see the light. Agree. Ito ngayon, ipapakita na natin ang buong mundo.
Right. All right. So, are you ready to hear? Are you ready to hear Jeremy's, his
market
opinion
analysis
consultation? Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Ayan. There you go. So solohin na kita, Miss Kan, Miss Lolita. So, yan, hintayin lang natin yung slide deck natin. All right. So Philippine products have such a tremendous potential for global market. In our live stream, we believe in showcasing unique and profitable Philippine products that help you look good, feel good, and be good. Aside from the certified mentor from Digital Expert Enablement Program of the International Trade Center, my role in this show is to prepare the Philippine brands to be ready for global market and take advantage of the export potential. Now, based on my initial research, this is how we will do it. Pero, bago natin umpisahan, let me ask Miss Luchi. Miss Luchi, are you ready?
Yes.
Ayan, great. So we will start from first yung cultural significance mo, And then pangalawa is the real-time international market analysis. So ano ba yung tool na ginagamit natin? Kasi para ma-explain ko sa audience natin, sa followers, viewers natin, ito bang data na iniimbento lang natin? Hindi. Ito ay talagang merong source na reliable source, no? And then the other one is yung third is ang countries that other than the Philippines where USA is importing has harmonized systems code 482390, also called the other paper and other products. Then lastly, yung pang-apat is yung trade map between the Philippines and the USA. So let's begin. Ayan. Una sa lahat po, itry natin munang i-analyze yung tinatawag nating cultural significance. What the beauty of your product, basically, madam, and your business is you are actually promoting sustainability. The products made from the eco-friendly tree-free materials like the abaca, pineapple leaves, and the wild grass. In fact, narinig ko kanina yung bamboo at yung coconut. So, ang ganda nun. Magandang-maganda yan. The other one is a support for IP communities. So, ethically source materials from indigenous peoples. Magandang initiative talaga yon. So, kung ang competition, mamaya tatanungin ko ngayon si Brother Ferdinand kung napaiyak ba siya dito sa cultural significance na ginagawa mo sa business mo. The third one is the handcrafted artistry. Ngayon, sabi mo kanina, you are actually giving training sa mga cooperative. Yes. That is so great idea po. Maganda po yung ginagawang initiative at ipagpatuloy po natin. At sana buong Pilipinas matrain din natin sila. Okay, the fourth one is basically yung cultural heritage in design. So talagang sabi mo nga, yung mga family nyo are really into the interior designing, including your daughter, na napakaganda ng mga designs niya. Maganda yon. At imagine mo kung marami pang magjo-join sa kanyang advocacy to promote our artisans, local artisans, much better po yun. And lastly is yung tinatawag nating eco-conscious production. So again, yung pinagagamit mo na dinadry, sun-dry mo siya, typical na hindi ka gumagamit ng whatever, gasoline na nakakasira ng ating environment, talagang solar-dried, no, ang ginagawa mo. And you are using also the natural dyes in production. So maganda po yun, yung 5 cultural significance po. So yun po yung isa sa mga advantage ng ginagawa po ninyo, the cultural significance. Okay? Number 2, ang gagawin ngayon natin is that para magkaroon tayo ng focus, pupunta muna tayo yung sinatawag na flagship product. So ito yung paper panels at saka lampshades. Ngayon yung ifo-focus natin yung analysis. Kasi kung hihimayin natin lahat ng mga raw material mo, iba-iba ang report na lalabas dito eh. So we will focus on the paper panels po. Okay? So, how do we start? So lahat po ng mga bumibili at gustong bumili ng produkto ni Madam Luigi, ito po ang kanyang Harmonized Systems Code, the 4823.9. So pag sinabi po niya sa Bureau of Customs, yung gusto mag-import, gusto ko yung produkto ni Madam, ito po yung Harmonized Systems Code niya, mapapabilis po yung communication ninyo ng inyong importer at saka yung mga freight forwarder nyo na yan. No? So tip po namin yan. So kunin po ninyo yung International Harmonized Systems Code niya. Okay, so ngayon, pupunta na tayo dun sa nitty-gritty, no? So, Madam, itong pinapakita ko ngayon is a site wherein ito na yung tinatawag nilang international market tools. Ito is basically lahat ng mga countries are actually giving feedback. All the data ng import-export dumarating sa buong mundo, dito po kinoconsolidate niyan. So, marami po itong maitutulong. Ngayon, siyempre, focus tayo dito sa 482390, yung produkto po ninyo. Lingid sa lahat, okay? So, ito yung sabihin na natin nag-e-export ng produkto rin. Mga countries na nag-e-export. Ibig sabihin nun, huwag niyong titignan nakalaban sila. Kundi ito ang nagre-representa na maganda ang business mo. Kasi imagine mo, no, si Philippines, sabi niya, ang export potential natin is around 87 million, sabi niya. Pero meron ka pang 26 million. Roughly 1.3 trillion ata yun, Miss Luigi, nung kinocompute ko siya. Kunti lang yung potential mo just in case na lumabas na tayo kaagad-agad. No? So ngayon, sasabihin mo, Jeremy, so ang dami ka palang kalaban. Technically, there are two sides of the coin. No? You'll see them as your co-opetition. In some case, pwede mong isupply sa kanila at mag-supply sila sa mga customers nila. Kung saan man sila nag-export, possible yon. So, ganun po yon, competition in some cases. Ngayon, Jeremy, let's move to the other side. Gusto kong pumunta sa US. So, possible ba na malaman kung ano naman yung partner ni Philippines? Okay, so bear with me, Miss Luigi, yung aking dashboard may konting delay dahil sa signal natin, no? So, mapapansin mo, si Philippines, nag-export siya sa buong mundo. Mapapansin mo, maganda yung target natin. Number 1, si US. Pero, meron pang Germany, Netherlands, France, and Italy. So, ang pino-point out ko lang dito is that mayroon ka pang opportunity sa mga ibang countries. So, yun ang pwede nating sabihin. So, again, pwede mong i-target yan. Siguro, I would say don't put your egg in one basket. So, kung ang US, dapat tama, nandun ka na sa Europe. And did you know na meron pa tayong pwedeng puntahan na iba, di ba? So, may mga neighboring countries pa tayo dito sa Asia kung just in case in the future. So, again, ang sinasabi niya is si Philippines, 0.1% lang, 0.01%. So, napakababa ng export natin. Again, huwag kang ma-despair. Sa akin, tignan mo sa kabilang side. Meron kang 99.9% na potential na mag-export. Imagine mo, pwede mong kainin yung buong pie, Miss Luigi, to export our product. No? So again, this is Philippines exporting to the world. Okay? So pupunta naman tayo ngayon si US. Si US, tanong natin, kanino naman siya kumukuha? Diba? So, kailangan nating malaman kung saan ba kumukuha sa US. So, let me just drill in. Punta tayo sa US para makita lang natin live na United States. And then, after na mag-refresh, yan, kan lang po ma'am. Every now and then talagang ito ang ating napapansin ko na nagbibigay sa akin ng aking 48. So para lang magkaroon tayo ng 2390. 0. Tayo lang natin mag-load. So ito naman, ano yung sinong mga countries nag-i-import? Si US ang titingnan natin. So pupunta tayo sa United States na to. Okay? So konting patience, madam. Okay, yung kanina, Philippines, nag-export siya sa ibang bansa. So, kukunin lang natin si United States. Okay, teka, masyado kang mabilis, Mr. Kan. So, puntahan natin dito. Punta lang tayo dito sa US dito. Try kong piliin dito, madam, ha, para hindi siya magloko. For whatever reason, ito yung challenge ko nung isang araw. Okay. United States. At bakit ayaw lumabas si United States na naman? Kasi kanina meron na siguro sa susunod to i-screenshot ko na tong si USA kung saan siya nag-i-import para malaman kaagad-agad natin ng kanya. Okay. 48. Last na to. Pag hindi, pupunta tayo dun sa main topic natin. Focus tayo sa akin. So, 9090. Okay. 482390. Okay. So, real time po kasi ito. Kaya every now and then, kailangan lang talaga natin. So, import and then kunin natin yung United States. Yan. Kailangan lang mabilisan yung aking mouse to. Okay. So, bear with me. Konting ko na lang to. Konting himay-himay yan. Yan. Nakuha ko na yung United States. So, basically, ine-extract niya ngayon niya. So, saan nanggagaling tong data na to, Jeremy? So kung sa Philippines, nagre-report tayo meron tayong National Statistics, ganon, meron tayong Bureau of Customs. Yung mga yan po, mga government agencies are reporting to the United Nations. So yan po yung kailangan natin makita na meron tayong okay. Kaya pala siya. Import. Pasensya na po. At for whatever reason, Murphy's Law ngayon nangyayari sa akin. Katulad na nangyari sa akin nung last na show. At nagre-reset sa United States. Ayaw niyang ipakita sa akin yung sino-sino yung pinagbebentahan niya. Sabi niya, hayaan mo na. Padiretson mo na sa akin si si Miss Luchi. Ayan, there you go. Then we click trade. Eto na. So saan-saang countries kumukuha si USA ng kanyang paper? Kung saan siya bumibili. So i-click lang natin tong trade indicator. Okay. Kung mapapansin mo, may mga countries na siyang initially na nire-report, no? Pero i-deep dive po natin to kung sino-sino tong mga country kung saan siya pumupunta. Bear with me kasi nagre-recon lang po siya. Ayan, nag-iisip siya. Epekto ata to ng Epekto ata to ng tinatawag na internet connectivity. Ayan. So Jeremy, so saan na ngayon si Philippines? Allah, number 16 tayo. Diba? Again, hindi ibig sabihin na ayaw tayo ni US. Ang ibig lang sabihin, wala kasing nag-effort. Walang nag-effort sa side natin na mag-export sa US. No? Ang unang-unang nag-export na nagpapadala sa kanila is Canada, si China, imagine that, no? Mexico, ayan, Germany, and Vietnam. O yan, kung nakaya ni Vietnam, imposibleng hindi kaya ni Philippines na mag-export. So again, anong beauty nitong pinapakita natin? Again, hindi po sila competition but rather inspiration kay Madam Oro Handmade na maganda ang US na puntahan natin kasi malaki yung market niya. Ngayon, Jeremy, so ano nga ba talaga ang nangyayari ngayon sa US and between US and the Philippines? So ito ngayon ang masaya. Focus na tayo dito sa tinatawag na Global Trade Help Desk. Nag-pre-input na ako kasi medyo nagloko yung aking US kanina. No? So again, nag-export si Philippines ng 4823 papunta sa United States. So anong nakikita ngayon dito? The data says na meron kang around 635 million na opportunity, madam. And number one, ang US na pwede mong puntahan talaga globally. Yeah, so meaning to say, maganda yung target natin na number one sila. Kaya lang, ang Philippines is 0%. Anong ibig sabihin yun, Jeremy? Ibig sabihin, huwag kang ma-despair kasi may opportunity ka, madam. Ikaw mismo ang pwedeng sumulo ng 100% na opportunity to export sa kanila. Lumalaki po year on year yung kanilang importation ng paper goods. So again, may opportunity na yon. So ngayon, currently, ang Philippines may natitira pa. Itong 2024 na kung gusto mong maglaro, meron kang 1.3 million US dollar specific to the US soil. Again, sasabihin mo, so maganda pala yung potential nito. Yes, very indeed, maganda yung potential mo. Ngayon, sabi mo, Jeremy, I've been hearing yung mga tariff. Minsan, ito yung mga problema, di ba? So, may mga government agency, nandyan si Trump, trade, whatever. The good news is, agri part kasi to nung atong ine-export mo. So, 0 yung tariff niya currently. Okay? As of this moment, pag tinignan natin, hindi kanyan bibigyan ng tariff, no? So ngayon, Jeremy, so ano ba yung pwede kong gawin? Well, marami kang pwedeng gawin. Meron na roughly na nangangailangan ng produkto mo, and since you are into sustainability, did you know that you can partner ng around 22 organizations across the US na pwedeng sila ang mag-leverage on your effort? So sila ang magsasabi na ito maganda yung produkto ng ni Miss Luchi ng Oro Handmade Innovations. Ito i-promote kanila. So ang ganda nun is that ang US kasi by default is 92% na ang aware sa digital wallet. So again, andyan yung mga Amazon. I'm sure later isasabihin ni Brother Ferdinand tungkol sa ano-ano yung market analysis, no? Ipapakita niya sa'yo. Again, what's the beauty of having this analysis, no? Again, maganda na puntahan mo ang US, pero ang sinasabi dito is, by the way, meron kang market sa Japan, may market ka sa China, may market sa Thailand and Vietnam. So, hindi ko sinasabing set aside natin, dagdagan natin ng isa pang at least 2 or 3 country kung saan ka pwedeng magpadala ng produkto mo. Alright, so Miss Luchi, so that would be end of my presentation. I hope na ang ating ginagawa ngayon sa inyo, yung na-promote natin. And if in case that you wanted any information, you can always call me at ikakat muna natin kasi marami pa tayong guesting at saka meron pa tayong part ni Brother Ferdinand. Back to you, Brother Ferdinand. Ayan, oo. Hala, Mr. Ferdinand. Sabihin ko sana, hala, Mr. Ferdinand, napainom ka na rin ba?
Yeah, technical difficulties happen, because we're just trying to show the viewers that you use the latest and the greatest in terms of trying to get data, because in importing and exporting, Luchi, is that everything is about real-time data, especially if you're going abroad. So this way you minimize, mitigate any sort of risk. So I always appreciated Jeremy's data, because he's always using real time. So, but unfortunately, siguro nahihiya ang United States ay pakita yung mga produkto niyo ngayon.
Shortcutin mo na. Andiyan naman si Ferdinand eh.
Yeah. So, Luchi, so now I want to go ahead and if you have any comments about what Jeremy gave you before I go into the US part. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I think it's a very informative presentation, especially because we have all focused in the European market, and we haven't done so much market research for the US market. So we can go further because I saw that his source is the International Trade Center, ITC, of the United Nations. So that is, of course, very reliable. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Jeremy, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead for the sake of time.
Anytime.
I'm going to take you out and then go ahead into my presentation really quick. Okay, thank you, bro.
Go ahead, brother.
Luchi, so
yeah,
I'm going to go really fast because I know some of the information that I have Jeremy covered, but I want to give you my approach to helping Philippine manufacturers. I want to give them practical, very actionable steps. As much as I agree with everything that Jeremy, a lot of the Philippine manufacturers, once they get to a market, they want to make sure that they can do something right away, even if it's something small. I'm all about little steps. I'm all about baby steps that you can do now and be empowered to do now. So Jeremy did his job in trying to prepare your products and at the same time, I know for a fact you've done it already. So now you're just trying to understand what the US is all about. So that's why I'm hoping to shed some light, give you some perspective. You may agree or disagree with all my recommendation, but at the end of the day, it's just something that I wish that I'll be giving this to you. Utilize it to the best of, however you want to use it. Because at the end of the day, everything to me is all about data. And I feel like I can contribute, and Emporium, Jeremy, and me I can contribute to your journey to the US market. So you want to go ahead and begin?
Sure.
All right. So let me go ahead and go to each one slowly. Okay. So let me go ahead and talk about that. Now, market overview for the US. As you can see there, I'm just going to read it briefly. The global arts and crafts market is projected to reach US dollars of 74 billion by 2033. The cost of goods, the compound annual growth rate is about 5.6% from 2025 to 2033. As you can see, I've included the links to where I got the data. Now, so it's not like I'm just making it up. That's coming from a reputable business publication. In the United States, the handicrafts markets reached about 294. I think that's supposed to be a million in 2023 and is expected to grow at that rate. Again, it's by that institution called IMARC. Again, I just wanted to paint a picture that if you're going to invest your resources to be in the US, it is worth it because it's a big market. Okay. All right. Purchasing criteria. Now, as you know, you already know how and why people buy your products. But again, I'm just giving you my perspective. In the US, they're going to love your products because it's unique and you can personalize it. It's got quality. It's got the craftsmanship, as everybody can see from the social media posts I've made, always making a comment that it's classy, right? It's classy and it looks very expensive. And I'm sure everything has a price point, right? And then also sustainability. I love the fact that you can combine amazing, unique design with the materials that you use. And then also, what separates it from everybody else is the cultural authenticity. I don't need to explain that; people will get that. Okay. Now, challenges. I feel like the challenges that I've faced with other manufacturers in the past is that they're always concerned about like fluctuating raw material costs. Okay. And then also, the competition. While the opportunities are vast, these are some of the challenges that you're going to have. And hopefully, if you hit it big, so to speak, and you find a buyer, maybe hotels, interior decorators who are going to buy your product, you just want to make sure that you got that handled. So I feel like that's one of, I feel, are your challenges. Okay, like high raw materials,
Yes.
navigating complex trade regulations, and establishing brand recognition. Just give me a quick comment. What do you think about those challenges? Have you already faced them? How did you briefly, solve them?
Yes, we have faced them, especially in the earlier part of our operations,
Mhm.
where we barely need the materials that we need are just not there. So
Yeah,
what we did was to go to the community where these are found, like going to indigenous people cooperatives. We visit farms, the rural farms, and introduce to them that whatever they can plant, we buy, and we teach them also. We really spend time to teach them how to achieve the kind of quality that we need, at the same time the treatment of these raw materials. And so
fantastic.
far, with these training programs, community based, that we have undergone, we no longer face the problem of raw material supply.
Fantastic. And that's, you solved it right there. So now you just have to make sure you navigate with the trade regulations,
Yeah.
which I know you've done already in Europe, but in the US, you're getting to know that a little bit. And also the challenge in establishing a brand recognition, which I'll touch on a little bit further. Okay. So the next one is here are, like I said, these are what I feel, and then you can have these slides, what differentiates Philippine products. Again, you focus on the craftsmanship, or the unique craftsmanship that you use, the target niche marking, and the strategic pricing. Everything is about pricing, honestly. But I think with arts and crafts, especially products like yours that have this sort of a high end look, even though technically I know exactly the costing of your products, but I'm sure to a certain degree, as long as you manage the material, the pricing can be, I would like to say, probably pretty lucrative or profitable. Just depends on where you're shipping it and who's buying it. I think there's a lot of opportunity for that, as long as you focus on, and I'll touch on that a little bit a little bit later. Okay. So
Okay.
to me, what can you do now to bring these products into the US market, test them? How do you, because the biggest problem or concern of most manufacturers is that they don't want to gamble, so to speak. So they want to put their, touch their, the water, dip their toes in the water, so to speak. And I get that. And that's what I'm all about. And that's what Emporium is all about too. So with that is, these are just some basic recommendation. Okay. Leverage online platforms, which I'm sure you probably already doing that, especially places like Etsy. Okay. And then the second one is collaborate with local retailers, partner with mom and pop stores. I'm sure not all of your products will fit in certain stores in the United States, especially if you're going through what we're trying to form, called the Bayanihan Commerce Network, because there are products I'm sure that will fit well because of the space. But in terms of where I think you can even incubate some of these products that people can see, are those mom and pop places, okay, that are online as well as a brick and mortar. Lastly, I already have, if our guest today appears, she can give you perspectives on trade shows, especially in Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't know if you've heard of that, Lolita. Okay,
Okay, can I make a comment on the
sure.
actionable steps? Okay, I will base my explanation in our with our experience in Europe. We are into B2B, business to business uh, exchange, and
Hmm.
that we also get to big distributors, wholesalers so
Hmm.
far. So we haven't really gone into the retail, which is like online platforms,
Mhm.
because we ship by the 20-footer van, 40-footer van,
Correct.
going to a wholesaler or a distributor. Like for
Mhm.
example, we have a distributor in the Netherlands, and they are a global distributor. Another distributor is in France,
Mhm.
and they are into really volume. Another one, the latest we have is the from South Africa.
Mhm.
So when we say volume, it's like we can only accommodate not all orders. So we can stagger the how we send the products to them. So far, for example, the French market is 3 40-footer vans a year, but they wanted four. But we couldn't accommodate unless we have to give up another Dutch buyer, which we cannot afford. So we also allocate time for them. So at the moment, it's actually the workforce that we are trying to build up. So I am not exposed to the Amazon, for example, online platforms. Moving forward, I guess with this American market, we are actually open to sending samples, and
That's fine. That's
joining
fine.
fairs,
Yeah.
joining trade fairs, because
Well,
that is where we meet. We have to meet the buyers, to build some kind of relationship. And then they also have the opportunity to touch our product. It is, we noticed that during the pandemic, we had these digital shows like trade fairs in the digital platforms, but there was hardly any traction in terms of orders, because
mhm.
I believe the buyers really want to see actually and touch it and examine it, how the craftsmanship is.
No,
Uh,
Lolita, I agree with that. And as if I you can if I like if you see the rest of the slides, your product is not like you can just look at it in a e-commerce. There's going to be a combination of
yes,
ways. I'm all about like figuring out. We can talk about it later after the show. I'm all about figuring out which products you probably might want to utilize the Bayanihan Commerce Network, because
right,
there's a
right.
lot of other nuances to that that can help you get that, because everything that you described is about having someone actually reach out to these buyers on a daily
Right.
basis. That's the difference. So with me, we can go in that level, but I feel like in the end, you just want to have people touch these products and have a place. So let me go ahead and continue with the slide so I can tell you exactly what I would recommend. Okay. All
Okay.
right. So again, the thing that I want to impress upon the Philippine manufacturers, and not just your industry, is like really understanding the cost. Because right now this show is about trying to engage a lot of other retailers to say, okay, I like that product. Is it going to be profitable? I want to sell that product, but again, the cost this and the cost of that. Is it going to be profitable? And I think there's a lot of potential margin that you could have, because I feel like nobody can really put their finger on the amount of money that can you potentially make with your products, but normal arts and crafts or handicrafts or anything in your category, I've seen it do 30, 50, maybe even 60%. It just depends on how it's marketed. So to me, I feel like at the end, I consider it very profitable, Lolita. Okay, so I consider that. All right, so opportunities for differentiation. Again, these are just consultative advices. Use digital marketing, social media, and I'm sure you're doing that because you have a marketing officer. Partner with Filipino American Organization for events, because a lot of these events, they actually are, the Filipino community is so integrated into the mainstream in terms of hotels, interior decorators, builders, and things of that nature. You'd be surprised that those
Yeah.
are your people are going to sort of be your brand ambassadors. Also offer small scale samples to mom and pop stores and designers. That's what you were telling me earlier, right? And then also highlight eco-friendly materials and unique craftsmanship. All right, so key takeaways: the U.S. arts and crafts market offers significant growth for your product, for Philippine exporters, especially your product, Lolita. By highlighting these unique craftsmanship and targeting niche market, I think you're going to be a standout. Um, Jeremy already said that in his presentation. So it's yours for the taking, so to speak, and your product is amazing. Okay. So to me,
Thank
you
you.
highlight highlight the unique craftsmanship, address the challenges proactively, sustainable successes, and that's how you're going to, I think, do well. Now, your potential buyers, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Whether you agree or disagree, most of the people that I've dealt with when it comes to arts and crafts or anything similar to that, these are who's going to buy your products here in the US market. We're talking about eco conscious consumers, home decor enthusiasts, millennials, and Gen Z, as far as that's concerned. I find that these are at least the top, the some of the ones that are going to buy it. And then let's move on to the second buyers. Boutique and specialty stores. There's a lot of them in the US. Hospitality industry, hotels, bed and breakfast, Airbnbs. I've already contacted a friend of mine who is in the hospitality or in the hotel industry in Las Vegas, for goodness sakes. Okay. If you're talking about business to business or B2B, it's just trying to figure out how do we get people to look at the product, touch the product, and all of that. So that's why I already have somebody that you can talk to that are already in the hotel industry, and also people in the real estate industry who want to decorate these commercial buildings. And then, like I said, corporate offices and co-working spaces. And then lastly, you're talking about green building and architectural firms. They're interested. Gift and art lovers, the luxury market, nonprofit organizations, and eco advocacy groups. Those are your buyers. I mean, there's so much. And that's the reason why I'm excited to give this slides to you so that you can study them more and do more research. But this is just sort of my take on what you can possibly do and how Emporium can go ahead and help you moving forward and tackling the US market. Because we're not just doing this live stream, we're actually trying to get the trust of the Philippine manufacturers. Because when you take on another market, sometimes the other challenges that's not brought up is trusting someone that can help you, unless you want to put up an office here already, which some people do. But if you're not, then people who understand the community but don't overpromise anything to you, because at the end of the day, selling any product, period, takes a lot of time, focus, dedication, and knowledge. So to me, at least this is a start for something for you to consider. And from there, you can figure out what you want to do. From there, I thank you for listening. Again, my name is Ferdinand from Emporium, Lolita. Anytime you feel like expanding all of this, just let us know. And I have a cute little ending to my presentation. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ferdinand and Jeremy.
Go ahead and bring back Jeremy. All right. All right. Hold on for a moment. Let me see if I can bring up Jeremy.
Bear hug, bear hug.
There you go. Bear hug. See, that's what
bear
I
hug.
want. A bear hug. A bear hug. So they haven't checked in. I have no idea where our special guest is, where they are. Maybe they got stuck because they're in Arizona. So if they don't sort of check in, we're probably going to end up with end the show in about maybe 5 or 10 minutes. But Lolita, what are your thoughts as far as everything that we presented to you so far?
Well, I want to comment on the pricing because you mentioned about the price strategies. But actually, when we say we cannot be comparative to like China, made in China handicrafts, because we say we do ethical sourcing. Like we go to the communities and really find out the real cost of their raw materials. So we study the cost of goods, and whoever buys from us will not worry, like, because we give the right percentages as to the profit margin. And for example, my European buyers, for example, they get our product at 100 euros, for example, they multiply it by 4 or by 5, and that is the price in the market shelves. We saw our products in like one of the stores. They sold the $100 the 100 euro lamp to 500 euro lamp. So we have to make sure from our end that the farmers are benefited and that they get the right price for their product. And that has been our issue because the farmers are underpricing themselves. They are so low. And in our evaluation, they should increase it because we can sell it at a higher price.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Go ahead, Jeremy. You're gonna say something.
Yeah, agree with you. Imagine that yung sustainability and yung bringing back to the community. Kaya nga ito yung mahiwagang tanong ko sa iyo 'di ba? Doon sa cultural significance, Brother Ferdinand, napaiyak ka ba doon nung ginagawa natin? Pine-present na yung cultural significance niya.
You know what? If I were to say that I got emotionally attached to your presentation, Lolita, it's really about the way you continued with the family, right? And then you're really dedicated to bringing livelihood um, to the Philippines, and that's the part that sort of touches my heart because at the end of the day, you live it through and through. You know, as far as your family, right? Your family, you do that. I can appreciate that. I could imagine, you know, having dinner with all your family and talking business, but I'm sure you stopped that. But that's the benefit of that. But that's what I feel is your story. Whoever is your designer, you got to give them a raise because I feel like that's probably what's differentiating you with everybody
Yeah.
else.
You know that
All the
the
artists.
design is the lifeblood of our business.
Yep.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
Grabe. And then probably I would want to add Brother Ferdinand, yung mga I was always telling the buyers no, if you wanted to buy yung ating and distribute yung product ni Miss Luchi, so one of the things that you would probably have to ask her is yung product specifications so that you can actually get the exact design in itself, and then prepare your export documents no, para
Yeah.
at least at the end of the day, yung mga packing list, commercial invoice, and then of course, I'm sure there's a team that will be handling that, no? And the other one is making sure if you're the exporter, you make sure na may compliance kasi syempre yung distributor kailangan din niya. So make sure na meron tayo nun. And then of course, tama yung kalmo Madam Luigi, is the pricing and MOQ. Making sure that it includes the insurance kasi syempre natural disaster, we would not know from point A to point B, the logistics costs and things like that. And of course, you might probably have to send out some sort of a sampling para makita nila sa isang showroom doon sa US so that they can actually physically check the quality of the product before they will sign up for the volume MOQ mo. So those are the things that I would suggest for our US buyer, no, that plans to import yung ating produkto. Yun yung aking say, brother.
Okay, and one more thing that I want to convey to you and encourage you more, right? The social media posts that I put out there, I got like 2,000 views, probably more than I normally get in the amount of time of 3 to 5 days, Lolita. So the curiosity is there because the picture is very eye-catching, right? The designs are unique, and then they don't even know the materials that you're using. So to me, I think the next level of me posting all of that is figuring out how are they going to get these products here. That's why I feel like I'm hoping that if you're not working with anybody right now, we need to figure out for you how do you bring these products. I understand you want to bring them in a 20-foot container. You want to do bulk volume. Some people are already asking how do they even buy it, just like I gave you Malu, right? She just wanted to know how do you even bring it here. So again, I know you've already done it, but how that's probably one of the questions that's being brought up to me every time somebody messaged me and say, well, I want to buy it, looks great, where is it available here in the US already? So you're thinking, well, do I get a store, maybe get a consign, maybe partner up with an existing store? That's why I was telling you about the Bayanihan Commerce, because the Bayanihan Commerce Network it's not just selling food. Like even though I'm telling you Filipino retail stores, maybe groceries, no, I'm actually just anyone who's got a space that you can use sort of as a showroom without actually buying one. Because that's expensive. I don't think you want to buy one. I mean, I could arrange it. We can go ahead and figure that out. Maybe even sublet another store, because people have to see that, not just through a picture, even a video. They need to really see it. It needs to be in a showroom.
Right.
And I think a lot of people will buy it. If you do one like in Las Vegas, oh my gosh, because that's where a lot of people go. If you're looking for that type of buyer, that's an ongoing place where you can go ahead and find buyers like that. So that's just my
Yeah.
opinion moving forward.
Actually, one of the, just to add on, no, Brother Ferdinand, one of the, syempre, I have series of mentorship sa mga exporters, no? Mostly, ang mga kinakatakutan talaga nila is yung sudden surge of buyer, yung dumami bigla yung volume, no? So, one of the things that we can actually help them as well, yung mga ating exporters, is to connect them with their supply chain. So, that's why I would probably mention it, si ExportMate is into helping the exporters address yung supply chain niya. So connecting, addressing the raw material, facilities, people, manpower, and in some cases pati including financials nga kailangan nating ma-address yan, no? And of course, yung regulation and compliance kasi mahirap kasi kung 1:1 yung kausap mo, wala naman silang resibo. So mahirap na i-report, no, sa government. So mas maganda talagang mga legit, no? So ExportMate is actually a network locally helping exporters sa back end niya. So that in case na mayroong sudden surge of marami siyang raw siya, ready siya for to future demand.
No, I agree with that. That's what, remember, you already stated that, Lucci, before. So we got you, covered that way. But do you have any other things that you wanted to add on before we do the happy dance to end the show?
Otherwise mabibit natin yung record.
I would like to say that in terms of how my product should reach, the U.S., what we do is we have studied a 1 CBM sample. You know the 1 CBM box that we can ship out with assorted items of lamps, because our lamps are all collapsible. It collapses, and so you get to gain from the space, because the freight cost is so high. So you have to maximize it. So our lamps are all collapsible. So in 1 CBM, we can load like 6 to 7 lamps of different shades or different designs.
Yep.
So the important part for me is to find an importer, because if you are an importer in the US, that would be a great start, because in import and export, you all have to have a certificate. You have to be legit, like what you said, Jeremy, that you have to be legitimate. It cannot be like you're not an importer, you don't have a store, but you like my lamp, you want to buy it. It cannot be done that way. I have to deal with an importer.
Exactly.
So the volume, we can always talk about it. We can stick to the sample size, and we can gradually grow to an MOQ. So there's no rush. We want to feel the market.
I really like your mindset, because that's the issue.
Miss Lucci, 99.99% ang i-fill in natin. What's grabe, and laking market potential mo, Madam Lucci.
Yeah. I'm sure mayroong importer dyan talaga.
True. Dalawa na nga naghihintay eh.
Lucci, the importers that you're talking about, that's why I'm sort of bummed out a little bit, because the lady that I wanted you to meet is actually that person. I'll show it to you. Now, this is the lady that I wanted you to meet. Okay. So can you see that?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, you can see her name is Charmel de la Cruz. So she always promotes her products in Las Vegas, even though she's in Arizona. Okay, so that's why I'm still going to go ahead and connect you to her, and just expect I guess she might have had an issue with being on the show today, but I'm going to introduce you to her, because she's the one who's going to be able to help you, especially if you want to do trade shows in Las Vegas. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I can actually we can still connect with each other, I'm sure.
Yep. All right. So with that being said, let's so go ahead and bring each other back here. I'm trying to bring us back. Remove. All right. So now we're back. Um, all right. So are you ready? Since it looks like we had a little bit of an issue, technical difficulty with the with our guest today. I'm going to go ahead and just end our show, or we'll be here for 2 hours. Okay.
Magiging record na siya. Top 1 na siya si Mr. Luigi yan.
So I'm going to go ahead and do what I call our happy dance. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and
happy dance.
I don't know if you're ready to dance, Lucci. Are you ready to dance,
I
Lucci?
am.
All right. So let me go ahead and put on some music and just get it started for us. So this way we can feel the groove of the music, and then I'm just going to start dancing. Okay. So here is our happy dance. It's a very slow beat. So you don't hurt yourself when you're trying to dance. Okay? All right, can you hear that? Back and forth. Yeah. There you go. So this is us releasing tension from the presentation.
Finally.
Yeah. See? So there you go. It feels good to just finally relax. The show is over. That's what I like to do.
Heart sign, heart sign, heart sign.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
You are a sport. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you, Ferdinand and Jeremy, for such a blessing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye here, and I want to thank everybody's the next show that we're going to do. Hopefully it's going to be a Philippine ingredient. It's going to be in 2 weeks, and hopefully she is able to present and do its best trying to get products for more attention for Philippine cinnamon cocoa sugar. Our next guest should be November 20th. And she's going to go ahead and introduce to us Philippine cinnamon cocoa sugar, and I am excited for that. Again, I'm going to say bye-bye here. Jeremy, awesome job. Lolita, thank you for being here.
To our followers, please like us and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Bye-bye. Congratulations.
Thank you,
guys. All right, here you go. Bye-bye. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. There.
Dancing with you guys. Mary Floor, come on.
Take care.
Bye. Bruno Mars says 10. Cool.